Okay, hello everyone, I'm Felix Broy. I'm going to tell you today about the dominance of the economic system in information society. Because this is a really big subject, I have chosen to focus on the theory of Jürgen Habermas, which is called Theory of Communicative Acting. Jürgen Habermas was born in 1929 in Düsseldorf, Germany. He was an assistant doctor during the war, during World War II, and after that he worked as a free journalist. He had 3 children, is married. He was then found by Adorno, Mr. Adorno. He called him to Frankfurt to the Institution for Social Research. Jürgen Habermas habilitated in 1961. In 1964 he had his first professorship on the University of Heidelberg in philosophy. And 1964 he moved to Frankfurt to lectures about philosophy and sociology. From 1971 to 1983 he worked for the Max Planck Institution, and after that he's just a coryphée, and he's still alive. He lives in Starnberg, very close to Munich. Yeah, very old man now. Okay, so far to that. We start with the communicative rationality. We have a process during modernization of the society of rationalitating everything, like getting categories, getting efficiency out of it, these things. Habermas said the whole concept is not bad, but it needs to be focused on the communicative side of the rationalization. It's not the instrumental rationalization might turn out as a mistake, as we see later. So the communicative rationality has the goal to criticize and describe the reality as it is, to ask questions about it, and support the development of it. As I said, it criticizes the instrumental rationality. The communicative rationality would be better, and to communicate is to act, the interaction between people. The other ways are strategic and informal acting, which is not about communication. They are not social. We have a system. He separates the whole society into 2 parts. Once we have a system, for example, a political system, and we have a living environment. This is actually a word that he found himself in German. It's called Lebenswelt, and it means that every individual has its own horizon of reality, and the system is the part of society where we started to rationalize, to differentiate the things and make them logic and grammatical and not anymore in a social context. You can see this chart. It's in German. Actually, we have the living environment. We have the word of the ego, the word of the other, just to represent 2 people communicating, for example. And you have the objective world and the social world. So everybody has his own social world. Everybody, we live together in an objective world, and we meet within that and communicate. And Yeah. That's our individual living environment, and that we move. He said, it's just a hypothesis, it's not deniable. Your living environment cannot be problematic to you, because it's always there. Even if you have problems, they are part of your living environment, but it can break down. It's assured through a social a priori, which means every society has its own rules, and you know them. You are born within the rules, more or less, because you learn them by watching your parents, watching people in the society. You don't have to communicate about these rules. They are there in your living environment. And the living environment is infinite. You cannot transcend here. So, in the next step, as we have seen now, communication as a social, rationalistic process, and we differentiate in system and living environment. Now, Habermas looks at the evolution of the society. Yes, and because we have this two separations. The society develops into the system, which is the materialistic world. The perspective is the spectator, so you're watching, or the observer. And the living environment is more symbolic orientated, as I said just before, and you're participating. These two together, they interact in a functional context. But the interaction of these two systems is a rational base. So it's not communicative, it's not social orientated, it's rationalistic orientated, the interaction between the system and the living environment. This is how Habermas said society develops. In the Stone Age, in old times, you had traditional societies where there is no system and living environment. They are still one. Religion, the sharing of the food, like you can imagine people living in a tribe. There you have no separation. The whole life is also mystical. The religious views dominate, and so on. From the Reformation to the industrialization, the power relations of specific systems, as money, as politics, also leading further on is educational system, and so on. They start to dominate the society, because if you're born in a system where you have to go to school and you have to learn certain things, you cannot get out there, and it becomes your living environment. And that's what Habermas calls colonization of the living environment. So actually the economy or the politics, they colonize your world, your individual social world. And in the next step, where I think we are pretty much now, is the conflicts come through. Dysfunctions appear because we as human beings need sometimes symbolic relationships to different things. We need just a social environment. And if we start rationalizing everything, dysfunction appears. It's still not working. Because of this decoupling, so it's you lose the connection.
That's what I wanted to say. Like, if everything is really realistic and rationalistic, the people lose their attachment to things. Like, how are you attached emotionally, for example, to education? You think about an educational system, you think about it rationalistic. And in old times, there was maybe one teacher, and you went there and you have a social context with that teacher, and that's how you learn. I found a study about that. It's from the mid-90s. It's about political activation of the society from the University of Bielefeld. Yeah. And it says, it just puts the thesis on, coming from the empirical side, that there are three reactions of that decoupling from system and living environment, and that will be protest, conservatism, for example, nationalistic or religious conservative orientation, or discontent, that people just don't know what to do. I hope that you could understand that theory just a bit. In the next step, I want just to tell you about some examples, and by the end, I would like you to join in to think together about examples, because it's really hard, because it's just little things in life. They are sometimes really hard to get, because they are pretty natural to all of us. So I study management of social innovation, which is dealing a lot with social business, and I think that's the wrong way around. Because social business means how we learn it, as we learn it, is that you have a social idea, you do something like a kindergarten or so, and you learn how to do it as a business. So you need to speak the business language, you need to put the numbers together, and I think the definition should be turned upside down. The business needs to start being social. You have social media marketing, word of mouth. That's just some two words from the BWL, and it shows very clearly that you have a social media. So it's a media which is there for the joining of people and for the interaction of people. But the next step, what we all think is, okay, how can we use it to put marketing into it to get something out? And that's a domination, because as you know, websites are measured by clicks. So if you want to put your website on, and you need to have some clicks to get advertisement to be successful, just to become a bigger platform for more people to keep social life with you. And I wrote efficiency in everything. We have to be efficient. There is no more time for. I left it on my table, but we have these phones now, so you can always do something useful, senseful. You have to be efficient. There's not the time to sit in a park and just watch the sun and forget about all that, because you always have the possibility. I think that's how society is dominated in the information exchange. Yes. That's my sources. I will put the PowerPoint on the internet too. And as I said, I would like to ask you to join in now, and let's just talk about that.